Hey, welcome back! Today I'll break down what dependency injection is, why it matters, and how to actually use it in your iOS projects, including real examples in Swift. Dependency injection means passing dependencies from the outside instead of creating them inside a class. So, what exactly is a dependency? In practice, it's anything your object relies on to do its job. This could be a service that fetches data, a logger, a persistence layer, or even a simple configuration value. If your object creates those things itself, it's tightly coupled. If you pass them in, it's using dependency injection. Dependency injection makes your code more flexible and testable. You can swap implementations without touching the class itself. It also reduces coupling, so each component stays focused on a single responsibility. There are three main types of dependency injection in Swift. First is constructor or initializer injection. Basically, you pass what you need into the init method. Second is property injection. You set a public property after you've created the object. Third is method injection. You just pass dependencies into a function when you call it. In iOS, I use constructor injection most often. It keeps things simple and safe. Your object can't exist without its required pieces. And it's easy to understand what a class depends on because you see it right in the initializer. Let's say if a class has 3 dependencies, you'll see all 3 listed in the init. No searching through the code, just one clear place that lists all the dependencies. Okay, let's dive into a real example. Here we have a class named userViewModel. Inside it, we declare a private let service, user service, so the view model creates its own service. Then load user simply calls service fetch user. This works, but you have a problem. You can't test user view model in isolation because it always uses the real user service. You can't inject a mock to simulate success or failure. Now, let's refactor this code to use constructor injection. First, we define user service protocol with the function fetchUser. In userViewModel, we replace the hard-coded user service with the property service, user service protocol. Then our init service assigns it. Finally, load user calls service fetchUser. Now, userViewModel doesn't care what the service actually is. It could be the real one or a mock. In production, you pass real user service. In tests, you pass mock user service. That's dependency injection in action. Notice how we use the protocol instead of injecting the concrete user service directly. This is key. Protocols are what give us the flexibility to swap in different implementations, like mocks during testing. So if you're doing DI in Swift, you'll almost always be working with protocols. Awesome! Now we've covered how DI works with protocols, let's talk about why it's actually worth using in the first place. First, testing. When you use DI, you can easily pass in mock version of your service. That means you can test how your app behaves in different situations, like when the network fails without hitting a real server. It makes writing unit tests way easier and way faster. Second, separation of concerns. Each class does just one job. Your view model doesn't need to know how networking works, it just asks for the data. That keeps your code clean and easier to understand. Third, loose coupling. Since you're not hard coding the real implementations, you can swap them out whenever you need to. Want to change your API layer? No problem, your core logic doesn't need to know or care. And finally, scalability. As your app gets bigger, DI helps you keep things organized. It's way easier to manage dependencies when everything is passed in and clearly defined. You won't end up with a mess of singletons calling each other in circles, creating retain cycles, and making everything harder to debug. Now, let's talk about dependency injection in SwiftUI. SwiftUI gives us some built-in tools such as environmentObject that let us inject shared dependencies into any view without wiring them up manually every time. The most significant advantage of using an environment object is making it available to any of the child views if needed. I'm also going to show a quick alternative using view initializers, so you can pick what fits your app. Alright, now let's look at the example. Here's Use ViewModel, conforming to observable object. We have add published var articles property, so any changes to articles will update our views. We also define function fetchNews to load data. In our abstract, we declare @stateObject NewsViewModel that makes NewsViewModel the single source of truth. Inside window group, we call .EnvironmentObject NewsViewModel, injecting it into SwiftUI's environment. In News List View, we write @EnvironmentObject NewsViewModel, then in body we build a list displaying each article.title. And finally, inside onAppear, we call NewsViewModel fetchNews. SwiftUI automatically finds NewsViewModel from the environment. No explicit wiring in this view. You didn't have to pass anything through the initializer, and you didn't have to manually hook things up. This is one of the biggest benefits of using EnvironmentObject. It keeps your view code lightweight and focused. Any view that lives under the root can just grab the shared view model and start using it. That makes it super useful for things like user sessions, settings, or data that multiple screens need access to. Alternatively, you can inject your view model manually through a view's initializer. This is explicit and perfect for previews or tests. Here's newsfeed view. We declare @observedObject newsViewModel. In body, we use a scroll view and a for each over articles, showing each article.title. We also call NewsViewModel fetchNews inside onAppear. Outside the view, we create NewsViewModel. Then we pass it into newsfeed view initializer. This makes it crystal clear which view model each view uses. In tests or SwiftUI previews, you could swap in a mock or stub view model here. Alright, let's talk about when to use @EnvironmentObject compared to injecting manually through initializers. @EnvironmentObject is great for global or app-wide data. You inject it once at the root of your view hierarchy, and then it's automatically available to all the child views. That makes it perfect for things like user preferences, app-wide settings, or view models shared across many screens. But in many cases, manual injection is the better fit. You pass your dependencies directly through the view's initializer. It's clear, explicit, and makes the relationship between views and their data super obvious, which really helps readability, testing, and reusability. So basically, use EnvironmentObject for shared global stuff, use manual injection for most view-specific data. Both are solid tools, just use the one that fits your structure best. Alright, in the previous examples, we talked about manual dependency injection, where you pass everything explicitly through initializers or use EnvironmentObject to inject dependencies at the top level. That works really well for most Swift and SwiftUI apps. But in larger code bases, you might want to use a DI container like Swinject to manage dependencies creation and resolution for you. Instead of manually wiring every dependency, you register all your types in a central container and resolve them when needed. It's powerful, but also adds complexity. I'd say stick with manual DI until your app starts getting large or you need to swap implementations dynamically. For most cases, passing dependencies directly gives you more control and makes your code easier to understand. I'm curious, do you use manual DI in your apps, or have you tried something like Swinject library? Drop a comment below and let me know what's worked for you. Cool. Interestingly, DI is not always the right choice. For a tiny app with one network call and no test, you might be adding more setup than it's worth. If you have only one implementation and no plans for tests or multiple environments, manual creation is fine. But once you have several modules, multiple flavors of a service, you need robust unit tests. DI becomes crucial for a maintainable architecture. Large code bases, team projects, and apps that evolve over time will all benefit. Okay, that's dependency injection in a nutshell. Give it a try in your next project. If you enjoyed the video, hit like and subscribe. If you want help with coding or system design interviews, feel free to book a mentoring session with me, link down below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.